All right, so here's the thing. This is very similar to what my mom was saying of, hey, you gotta have money to make money, right? We've heard it before. When we were started to go by, it was like, well, you don't have good credit. You don't have enough cash in the bank. You don't know anything about real estate. Thankfully, I didn't let that stop me from buying the first one because I didn't know anything about real estate, but I still bought it. We still had a couple of them. And it just goes to show you that sometimes ignorance is bliss. But I'll tell you, there's no reason to be ignorant. You shouldn't be ignorant about this. There's plenty of groups like ours, like things like this, education opportunities. You should not be ignorant anymore. Don't go buying stuff without knowing what you're doing. So it's a big purchase, right? So learn it. But I'll tell you, this is a big one that this bottom one here, people are like, well, I can't do this business. I don't like to talk to people. I can't, did you say something?
Bree and John said over and over again about how they take rates make it impossible to be an investor.
Yeah, I still hear it. Oh, you can't invest today. Interest rates are too high. It's not a good time, which it's crazy. It's always a bad time to invest. It's also always the best time to invest, right? I think I have a slide about that. The best time is now. The second best time, the best time was yesterday. The second best time is now. So the other big thing is like, people think they have to quit their job to be successful in this. And I'll go back to the slide before. We were doing the business for 2 full years and full-time jobs and babies, right? So you can do it. You can fit it into your schedule. You can't fit it into your schedule if you're going to be lazy. I'm sorry if that offends anybody. You can't lay on the couch every night after work and just say, I'm tired. I'll get to this tomorrow. No, that's how you become those 95%, 99% probably that never do a deal because it's too uncomfortable to actually do it. So these things here, these are all wrong. These are all busted myths of real estate investing. And I'm going to show you how to bust those for yourself. All right. If these are some of your limiting beliefs, write them down and listen to how we can get through them. Okay. I have to say this is again part of our disclaimer here. I want you to know, is there risk involved in real estate? Yes. The answer is absolutely yes. How much money of yours can you lose? You can lose a lot, and you could lose all of it. You can do some things that would cause you to actually lose more than all of it, right? You can go in the negatives. But how do you manage that risk? And this is the important part. This is where I'll tell you, I was so naive, didn't know what I was doing way back when, is get the education. Learn what you're doing. Learn the risks involved, and also learn the risks involved of not investing in real estate. You could not do this. You could just live your life the way you are now and keep going. And I'd love to hear somebody, if anybody in there in the group chat is like, yeah, I just want to live exactly the way I am now. If that's the case, you should probably just say bye and be like, I'm out. I don't need to learn this. Okay. But if you do want to kind of get going, get some extra cash flow, build some wealth, then you're going to have to do something. All right. And so, if you don't invest in real estate, you can also lose money, right? Just leaving it in the bank account, you're losing money. So how do we manage those risks? Of course, through education. And this is one of the big things Andrew Carnegie said long time ago, 90% of millionaires become so through owning real estate. And that was a long time ago. Like millionaire was really hard to get to back when Andrew Carnegie said this. So it's probably not exactly the case anymore, but everyone still uses this quote. And I like it because it paints the picture of what real estate is, which is a path for many people, most people. And it's an accessible path to wealth, cash flow, tax advantages, leverage, all the good things, all the beautiful things that our system's set up for. You can find those through real estate. So why real estate now? And this is something we always talk about. And Sean and Bree, exactly what you said, like, why do it now? Because this is the way, like, y'all remember that slide I showed a few seconds ago where it had ATM machines and car washes and ice houses. Yes, those are ways that you can create some income. But real estate is actually one of the best ways because it has such an intrinsic need. It is a need in our system, in our society. People need somewhere to live. There are investors that really want to buy other properties. There's a huge market for real estate. people need to live somewhere, and there's investors that want to be in there. This is a huge market. Not everybody needs, a vending machine. Okay, that makes sense. I hope that does. There's no better time than now. Of course, like I said, if you look at any of the graphs, any of the charts, real estate continues to go up. Yes, we've had some bubbles that burst, but over the long term, it continues to go up. And if you get in and stay in, you can go up with the real estate market. So you don't need a whole lot of capital to get started. That is one of the beautiful things about real estate and about this deal finding and wholesaling methods that we're going to talk about. And so I'm going to jump into them real quick. I'm going to fly through some of this just so we can get to the meat of our conversation here. All right. This is for you all, and you can type it in chat if you want, but we have to set our baseline here. So I want you to write down, how much money do you need to cover your monthly basics? That is rent or mortgage, car payments, health insurance, food. You need that. Power bill, water bill. Write that down. If you don't know that yet, then you need to write this down for yourself. But we're also going to write it down to figure out if real estate can actually help you get there. Okay. So write that down. I don't know what it is for you. It could be any number, but you're going to write that down. And we're going to do a little bit of math here in a sec. Okay. All right. So required investment to generate $10,000. So if $10,000 is your monthly income, you need 10 grand to cover your basics. That's covering your bills, covering your food, covering whatever that is. Okay. If you wanted to do that passively, you could. And here's how you would do that. Required investment to generate $10,000 monthly income at 3% return. If you wanted to just have a $10,000 a month for 10 years, if you had $1 million in the bank, you could do that. So if you only had 10 years left to live and you wanted $10,000 a month, you could do it with $1 million using the 3% return. Now, I'm a little bit younger than that. I feel like I've got a few more years to live, I hope, Lord willing, knock on wood. And so I would say probably I'm at this 50 years, right? And if I wanted $10,000 a month for 50 years, I need 3.1 million in the bank right now, cash, to earn 3% annual investment. You should see Michelle's face right now. She's like, yeah, let's do that. Get to work, right? So if you have that in the bank, then you can just quit. You don't have to do anything else. All right. Now, how long is it going to take you to save up that 3 million? And this is where it gets crazy. All right. If you wanted to save 2.4, so that was to live 30 years at 10 grand. You would need, if you only save 500 a month, so 6,000 a year, you'd have to save for 87 years. That's a long time to save money. If you were really, really diligent and you were able to put $10,000 a month in the bank every month, you could actually just do that for 16 years. And then you could live 30 years on the residuals of that. Now I say that and I'm like, holy cow, it's kind of giving me like heart palpitations, I'm like, that's a lot. And that's hard to do. But the beautiful thing with real estate is you don't have to get this much cash in the bank. We can use real estate as monthly income through the activity, as well as wealth generation and passive cash flow through rents and appreciation, depreciation, all these other things. So it's really hard to live this way just by saving to it. So let's talk about how we get there with some activity. All right. How much do you need to live a great life? So we just talked about what that was, just to cover your bills. I would probably double that for a great life, right? Cover your bills and then have double that for some fun. Okay. So that's easy math. I don't know where you're at. Was that you? You have no idea. So I'm just guessing. If somebody throw in a number and I'll throw it out there. Let's see. Did I see any in the chat? I don't see any in the Facebook chat. Winston did dump truck business. Yeah, I know a little bit about that. Definitely know about that, Winston. So divide that great life number. So if you needed $200K a year, divide that by 25,000. And that's going to be how many houses you need to flip each year. Okay. Now keep in mind this as active, right? You'd be doing that business. You'd flip eight properties a year. Now, let's look at this again in a different light. How many, if you need, you're going for that same number. So if it's 200,000, take that divided by 150. That's how many rental properties you need. And with rental properties, you're probably not doing any activity. That's just should be some passive cash flow. Now that's going to be somewhere around, if it's 150, what's that going to be? 150, 200 doors? Probably 200, 150 doors, something like that. Somebody do the math for me. I didn't do it. All right. Again, how does someone get there? We're not talking about this today. We're not talking about the flipping today. Those are different classes, different online trainings. We actually have a 2-day or full day workshop that's going to be in our office in April on flipping houses, where we go and talk through the whole process of flipping. That we'll have links for that later, but that's coming up. All right. So now let's talk about wholesaling. Okay. Typical, and this is, it ranges from 5 to 30. It all depends on your wholesale method, the way you set up your deals. But if average across the country, from what we've heard, is about 15K each time. All right. So that would be how many deals, traditional wholesale. Or, as we're going to talk today, how many deals to do with partners, okay? How many partner deals do you need to do to get to that great life, all right? So this is where I want you to set that up. Set this expectation. Write this down in your notebook. This is where we're going. How many deals do you need to do to get to your great life through partnerships and the old wholesaling methods, okay? So that's your baseline. That's where we're going. That's where we're starting. Let's get into what is the deal finder. What is a deal finder? It is a state of mind. It is somebody. You leave this training and you walk outside and you look around. You're like, oh, that house looks like it needs an investor to buy it. You're becoming a deal finder. If you leave this training and someone on Facebook posts something like, oh, I inherited this house and I don't know what to do, and you comment and say, call me, that's a deal finder. Right? If you are at the water cooler at work, you get out of this training, you go back to work, and someone's talking about a house that went up for sale by owner in their neighborhood, and you're like, give me that number. That's a deal finder, right? Your eyes and ears are open, and your mouth is open. You're telling people that you want to find property. You want to buy discount properties. You want to buy some that need some love. That's who a deal finder is, all right? And so you got to do that so you can find these deals in your community right now. So let me just talk a little bit about the role of money and capital in your business, because traditionally, wholesaling, the method of wholesaling, and I hate to even say this and give it, quote, credence, but people would say that, come be a wholesaler. There's no money down. You don't need any credit. You don't need any money to do this business. And y'all, it's not really accurate. I'm sure you can do it that way, but a little bit of capital in your business goes a long way as a deal finder, okay? So having some capital, it gives you that advantage. You don't have to work nearly as hard to find the deals if you can just pay for marketing. The other side of that coin is if you go to a property and you get it under contract and you have no way of buying it, like your credit is terrible, you have no way of getting funds to close on it, you're actually committing a fraud. You cannot sign a contract saying you're going to buy something if there's no way that you were ever going to be able to do that. Okay. So don't go into this with $0 and zero access. Okay. So let me just show you a couple. This is ways that people get, this is from the small business. So this is from SBA, Small Business Administration, I think. And this is how people start businesses, okay? Which is mostly they get funds from friends and family. This is crazy. It's 65% almost, all right? So we're being deal finders. What does that mean for you and your business? Maybe you should be talking to people. Maybe your friends and family may want to participate and invest with you or partner on deals together, okay? Business bank loans, credit cards, personal loans, home equity lines of credit, and then venture capital. I would not venture capital probably is like off the table for deal finding, for getting started. That would be something much bigger. Okay, so just using these to tease your brain. Like if you got to pay for marketing, we really think going into, if you want to be a deal finder and you want to find some deals to generate some extra income, if you come into it with a little bit of money, and we could talk about what that looks like for you, but if you come into it with a little bit of cash, a little bit of capital, or access to via one of these, you can actually start your business much better than trying to go with nothing. Okay. All right. Capital is a tool, and this is the question that I wanted just you all to put in. Just write it down next to the math you did earlier. How much capital can you commit to your business right now? Okay. Make a commitment to yourself that if I want to be a deal finder, I heard wholesaling is a good way, but we can't do it in South Carolina or wherever you are, then make a commitment that, yeah, I'll still do this business. I'm going to put some money to this business. This is real life. This isn't just, maybe this thing will work. I'll go sell some candy, right? I'm like, no, I'm going to commit. This is a business I want to do. I'm going to put some assets towards it, some capital. Maybe a credit card, maybe you have loan, maybe some of your retirement, maybe some of your savings. And you're going to commit that to the business as business funding so that you can grow it. Okay. So go ahead and make that. You have to make that commitment to start going down this road. All right. I said this earlier about the real estate. Okay. So how do we actually make money? What is this in real estate? All right. We're going to get into this now. This is where, real estate becomes a little bit, there's so many different ways to do real estate. Let's just break them down a little bit. You have earned income. You have earned income, which is where you are actually going out trading time for money. Okay. That's just like clocking a time clock, right? That's wholesaling and rehabs. Okay. Passive residual income. That's where you've got your rentals, right? Your creative financing, maybe a subject to, or just a regular old rental house. And then next level stuff, like this is the next level stuff where you start lending your money. Hard money lenders, making notes, mortgages, that sort of thing, letting your money make its own money. This is where we go back and you look at the last slides where that $3 million in the bank just starts bringing in its own income, right? And you don't have to do anything else. If you feel like you're in that situation, you probably don't need to be on this call learning how to do wholesaling. You can stop now, send me a DM, and we'll talk about how your money can make money. And you don't have to go and do the hard work that we're going to talk about here in a minute, which is talking to sellers and doing the deals, okay? You just need to find someone that'll bring the deals to you. All right, so what we are talking about today is the earned income aspect. This is the wholesaling. And I'm going to try to get away from that term wholesaling, but I know you know what I'm talking about, okay? Deal finding is the way to go. All right, so why would you wholesale? And this is the same question that I've been asking for years. There's two groups of people. Like I just said, that investor, the private money lender does not need to do this wholesale work. It's a lot of work. Two groups may do this now. You don't have the money to do the buy and hold or the fix and flips. You're trying to build up some capital so that you can then invest into the properties that you want to do. We actually have a model of how much capital you have in your business right now and how much time you have, and then your experience. We actually have a model that tells you where you should be. So I'm not going to go through that today, but if you're wondering, like, should I be deal finding, wholesaling, or should I be fixing flipping, or should I be buying rentals, or am I private money lender? I'm not sure. Send me a message, an email, what are the other, and let's connect. Just say, hey, I'm not sure which path I should go. And we'll do it. We'll get on a call together and I'll give you that model. So it's like, if you have $0 to $10, where would you fall? So anyway, so if you need to build capital, wholesaling is a great strategy. if you're already doing your own marketing, and this is kind of where we fell into it, we were looking for deals to flip. Michelle and I, we were back working in 2016 and 17. We were flipping deals to buy rentals for the ultimate exit of our, like where we could quote retire. And I didn't know what wholesaling was. I didn't know the term existed until my mentor, my coach, he said, "Hey, do you have any deals? My crew is bored, essentially, and I need to find some work for them." And I was like, "Well, I just got this one. I found this deal, but we did not have time. All of our crews are busy. It was just going to sit there." I was like, "It's a pretty good deal. I just don't like. I was going to flip it, but we're not going to get to it for probably 2 or 3 months." He said, "Why don't you wholesale it to me?" I was like, and this blew my mind. Like, what do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard that word before. He's like, "Yeah." And of course, he was my coach. I'm like, "How did you not tell me?" He probably did. Let's just be real. I'm sure he told me about the word and that, but I probably wasn't listening. So we were already doing our own marketing. We were already out there trying to find deals. That deal was a foreclosure, I think, that an agent had brought to me, and we'll talk about that later. And so he said, "Why don't you wholesale it to me?" And so we did. And that's how we started wholesaling, is that we were already out there doing it, already out there doing deals. We just started trying to get more under contract and then wholesale them to someone else. Okay. So again, we're going to talk about a couple of, so this is kind of your process, right, for wholesaling. What I want to, and y'all, maybe if you put it in the chat, if y'all really, if there's questions that you want me to make sure that I hit, please put those in the chat, and I'll let Michelle and Amber kind of tell me what they are so I don't miss something, and maybe I'll hit on that first. But we're really going to talk about finding the deal, which is like, how do you get deals coming to you, and then marketing as well. Quickly, we'll talk about how to run comps, and I've got a really cool calculator to show you, and then exiting the deal a little bit. Like how are you going to do these deals today in this market, right? With the laws and stuff like that. All right. So this is old school wholesale. All right. This was the way we used to do it. And guys, the way you've probably heard, the way we were always taught, and it was never really an issue in this state or most of the others until a few years ago, was that if you get a property under contract that you were going to buy, but if someone else wanted to buy that contract from you, you could sell them your interest, and then you would make an assignment fee. That doesn't work anymore. You can't really do it like that anymore. And some people would say, well, some people would argue you could never do that before, but there was a little bit of like semantics going back and forth. So what does this really mean? So now it's been really defined and very clear that you cannot do it. So this one was a contract price of 45, sold it to another end buyer who was, I believe, a hedge fund back then. And the difference being 19,000. Okay. Now, was that all profit? Of course not. There's costs in there and that sort of thing. But that's essentially what it looked like. Okay. And again, if I say numbers, y'all, this is just our experience. I'm not trying to insinuate that you could do this today, tomorrow, next year, or ever. This is just our experience. Okay. So that's your disclaimer. What is traditional wholesaling? So that was that deal back there. It was an exit strategy that allowed the middle person to basically sell the paper, sell the contract. So like this mouse is the house. This clicker is the contract to buy the house. Okay. The house is over here on whatever that road that was, Green Lake. But I go and I sign this contract, this clicker to buy the house. Instead of me selling the mouse house, I sell this clicker to someone else. In that example back there, I would have sold this for 64. Okay. And then in the middle would be our return. So I hope that makes sense. Break it down. People used to call it quick flips. I think there's some books that call it quick flips. Assigning contracts is the more legal definition of it. Because that was how we would, when I was selling this contract, I would sell it I would assign another piece of paper, and that's how this contract moved to the end buyer. Okay. So that's where on that assignment, we would have our fee and the costs and all the expectation of who's paying what. That was all there. All right. So that's the bare bones traditional wholesaling. Okay. Wholesaling has never been about real estate. And the fact that it became about real estate is why it's got regulated. Wholesaling, you can wholesale anything, guys. You wholesale mouse, mice, meese, I don't know, multiple mouses. You can wholesale those. You can wholesale cups, right? The function of it is basically buying them at a discount and then reselling them higher in a retail marketplace. Okay. So that's the function of wholesale. And, and unfortunately, that term in this real estate world, it actually is broken up and been changed. The definition has been more changed to not mean that exact thing anymore. So what it actually means for people, if you're listening to this, it's that of signing contracts. But when you wholesale cups, the wholesaler actually buys it. They close on it. They buy it at a discount and then they sell it to the retailer. Okay. That is how that works. If you still do that, if you do that in real estate, no problems. Because what happens is the guy who buys all the cups, that wholesaler, he owns them and then he markets them to the retailers and they buy them from him or her, right? You could do that today. But that's not what people started doing in wholesaling or in real estate, started doing the contract swaps. So it's not about real estate. It's about pawn shop. It's about being able to find a discounted deal that someone else wants to buy, whether it's you, it's your partner, or it's someone out on the MLS, someone out there that's shopping for a house to live in or an investment. Okay. So why do we call it a pawn shop? Because it's more about convenience and speed. Think about who uses pawn shops. Why would you use a pawn shop? Somebody put that in the chat. That's a good question. Why would you use a pawn shop? I can tell you. Mm-hmm. I said, what's that? Huh? Well, why would you go and sell your stuff to a pawn shop? There it is. Fast money. That's why we sell our stuff to a pawn shop. I haven't. Have I sold anything? I don't think I've sold anything to a pawn shop. Maybe I'm going to try that. But anyway, people sell things to pawn shops because it's convenient and they get fast money. I just remember watching the show on the History Channel. These people go in there and it's crazy because they bring an appraiser and the guy's like, it's worth $20,000 right now if you sold it online, retail market. And the guy in the pawn shop's like, oh, great, I can sell it today for 20 grand. And the person that has, the gold bar comes in and he's like, oh, it's worth 20. I guess I want 20. And that pawn shop guy's like, nope, you brought it to me. You want cash now. You want to walk out of here with money in your pocket. I'll give you 15. That's discount real estate. That's what you're providing is speed and convenience and service for sellers that don't have other options or don't want to use other options. Okay. So that's how you get the discount. The sellers are willing to trade some sort of equity for that speed and convenience, just like a pawn shop. Okay. It requires the art of consistently finding discount deals. And that's what we're talking about is the beginning piece is being a good deal finder. It is an art. Okay. There's some science to it, right? The negotiation skills, strategies, the marketing, but the art is what helps you get the leg up. Okay. And no, you're not investing. If you're just doing the wholesaling, if you're just being a deal finder, that's not the investing part. The investing comes when you buy it, close on it, renovate it, or keep it as a rental. Okay. So just to be clear on that, please, if you have any questions, let me know, put it in the chat. Michelle or Amber will yell at me. Traditional wholesale pros, of course, again, no cash required, no money required. Please just put a little capital in your business. Commit a little capital in your business. It goes a long way. Don't need that much. I mean, You don't need that much. Just hear me say that again. Send me a message if you want to know how much you might need or what the best way to spend that. Quick cash generation. The cool thing about traditional wholesale, the best thing about it was the cash cycle where you would get paid was really quick because investors wanted to close quick, the seller wanted to close quick. So within 30 days, typically you were getting income. Okay. And you got to learn the market really fast because every time a seller would call us or we'd talk to a seller, I had to learn that neighborhood. I had to do comps. I had to figure out what was good, what was bad, streets, side of town, whether it had a flood or not, all that. And you learn it really fast. The tough part, and why I told y'all, if you have enough money in the bank to be a private lender, you don't need to be a deal finder because it's so labor intensive. It's also earned income, right? It's income taxed differently. Lots of moving parts, and that's why we hired a team. That's why we have a team that does our business, right? We have a bunch of people with these moving parts. Of course, the government regulations are difficult, and it's not investing in real estate. That is one of the biggest issues. So you really want to move from being a deal finder, keep deal finding in your business as you invest, but you don't want to just stay as a deal finder. You want to be able to invest for that long-term wealth and cash flow generation. Okay. So diving into a little bit more of the wholesaling issues, I had to scratch that out. The legal ambiguities. It's not ambiguous anymore. They came and gave a definition, an opinion letter on the law in our state. In many other states have already had people test the law, right? So it's not ambiguous anymore. You have state regulations, you have city regulations. You have to follow those, and you're not going to fly under the radar anymore. If you think that you're just one person and they're not going to ever catch you, or you're not doing that much, I'm just telling you, they will. Just assume they will. That $5,000, $15,000, $20,000, assignment fee, marketing fee, or whatever. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting breaking the law. Okay, it's not worth that. So you have a lot of issues in there with the traditional wholesale method that you just don't want to mess with that. So this is why we go back to the beginning of what made wholesaling possible, and that's the deal finding part. And then what makes it impossible now? Let's eliminate that stuff. So here's some of just excerpt from the one in South Carolina, right? So it says the act seeks to regulate practice of wholesaling by distinguishing it from legitimate assignments. So what does that mean? It means there are legitimate assignments. You can still assign contracts. And by setting clear limitations on marketing of contracts. So you can assign contracts. You can't really do them. You can't put a fee or anything like that. Limitations on marketing of contracts. Okay. Go back and read this yourself. Have an attorney read it for themselves and give you an opinion. I am not an attorney, nor am I a CPA, nor am I your tax advisor, whatever. I'm none of those things. Treat this, I'm trying to share our experience, education purposes or entertainment purposes in many aspects, right? So marketing and advertising of the property is completely regulated, and it is clearly limited. Okay, so go read that. What I'm going to just tell you is you can't do it the way it has been taught in the past in this state and many others. Okay, so don't assume that you can't, and don't test it. Don't be the one that gets caught and made an example of. I've heard people just the other day, actually, in our Facebook group or another Facebook group, where people were like, "Hey, nobody's been caught. Nobody's been in trouble yet. They're not punishing anybody. Just keep doing what you're doing." No, y'all, that is the absolute wrong thing. Don't do. If you know something's wrong, don't do it. Okay, and the way people have done it of advertising their contracts for sale is wrong, and I think they will start finding people and punishing people. So don't be that person. Okay. So how can you still do this business? I want to make sure I give you this. If you go to Deal Finders Club, well, you can scan that. dealfindersclub.com/resources or free resources. I can't remember which one. But anyway, I put a link to that um, the act for South Carolina. All right, so you can go to there. You can read it yourself. You can give it to an attorney. You can give it to your friends, whatever. Okay, so go there, read that. Um, and here's the thing: many of you are probably like, "Well, how in the world?" And a lot of people, the reason you're watching this is because you asked, "How do we do this business in South Carolina?" And I said to you, "Hey, I'm doing a training actually this week on that. Funny you should ask. Come join." So, how can you now get paid if you want to be like a traditional wholesaler? You want to be a deal finder. Well, traditionally, the wholesalers would have a contract price. We went through this for the mouse, and they would sell this contract, and there would be a difference. However, today you need a partner. Today is the day that you find a partner. Now, I got a couple partners on this call because we just had one of our partner um, support calls where I said, "Hey, join the call because I want to talk about you." So Bree and Sean are in there, maybe James. Chris is here. Uh, these are our partners. They've joined our partnership program where we flip deals together, and they are now experienced flippers. They have access to capital, loans, hard money, contractors. They are good buyers and investors. They are people that you, if you're a new deal finder or trying to get started, not ready to buy your own, these partners are people that you can reach out to and build a business relationship with. Start working business to business, guys. Let's treat this like a business. Ask them what they need. Ask them what properties they like, what areas they would like, what price point they would like. And if you find a seller that's ready to sell at a discount, talk to them about it. Y'all work together, do the deal together. I'll give you some more details on that. But when you do a deal together, you're partnership, and you can get paid through a partnership agreement. Now, you're not going to get paid like the old school way, putting it on a HUD or anything like that. You're not going to get paid an assignment fee. You can get paid partnership fees, marketing fees, okay? You can get paid for doing the business, okay? How does that look? Well, you got the seller and you agreed for $100,000 sales price for the mouse, for the house. I'm going to keep going back to that. Well, you and your partner, you've already talked about this. And the partner was like, "Yeah, 100,000 is good. If you get that 100,000, we can work out a really good partnership deal, right? We could do this together. We could do a quick cash payment for your partnership payout, whatever that looks like." And so there used to be like a wholesale or assignment fee in the middle. Now it's just you and the partner are going to buy this at 100 grand. All right. You're going to assign it for no money, but your partnership agreement is going to figure that part out. Okay. So when you're asking, how do we work in this state? This is going to be what you do. Come to our events, get connected with people. Now, I did not put this in here, and I probably should have, because I want to define what a good partner is. A good partner is not another deal finder. A good partner is not someone that is in the same situation as you. If you've never done a deal, you have less than $10,000 to commit towards your business bank account. You probably shouldn't have a partner that's in the same boat. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. This type of partner, so we hear this a lot, and I have to say this because a lot of people in our small group, Deal Finders small group, where we actually coach and teach how to go out and find these deals and support you through negotiations, stuff like that. A lot of folks in that group will come to us and say, "Hey, I've got this person. I think we'll partner on some deals." And I'll say, "Why are you going to partner with them? What do they bring to the table?" If they are just bringing like motivation, or they're really good at talking to people, and I'm not good at talking to people, but they don't have any money either, and they've never flipped a house either. But I think we'd be a good partner together. No, that's not a good partner. A partner is someone like some of our deal partners because they have experience flipping houses. They know how to get the funding for it. They will close on the deal and make sure you get paid out. Okay, that's a good partner. Two people that are in the same boat and trying to do this together. If you're both in the water without a life raft, and you come together, what are you? You're drowning, right? You're not going anywhere. You're two people in the water without a boat in a life raft. Okay, so find someone that's another level, another step up that has experience doing what you need to do. Okay, I did not put that in a slide. I probably should have, but hopefully I got my point across. All right. You've heard me say this before, I'm sure, if you've been to any of our events, is when you're new, start with the free or cheap methods of finding deals. Okay. Not because they're free or cheap, but because that gives you an opportunity to practice. So if you're brand new, you really need to practice looking at houses, running comps, talking to sellers. Okay. You really want to be able to practice on the things that are free and cheap. So what are those? Some of those. Well, I'll switch the page here in a second. The most effective way to build a business around being a good deal finder is sending direct mail. It's just been proven. I know people will say today, well, direct mail's dead. Nobody's doing it, or it's oversaturated. Don't do it. Everyone's doing it. You're probably right. But it's still the best way to get these deals to you. You could stack on other marketing channels as well. We are seeing a shift, of course, into digital, right? So Google Ads or your website. But if you're just getting started, it's hard to jump into that. It's really hard to make waves into websites and Google Ads and that sort of thing. So that's why postcards are the best, because you could just show up in everybody's mailbox. They can't keep you out of the mailbox. Google can keep you off their webpage, okay? All right, so the free and cheap. Let me just show you the free and cheap and some of the best ways to talk to people into practice. I don't know why it's not on here, but there's for rent by owners, but then for sale by owners, okay? The for sale by owners, if they're out there on Zillow or Craigslist right now and their phone number is there, they want you to call them. Like, they actually are asking you to call them. So why not call and run the comps? Find out the condition of the property. Find out if they're motivated or not. Like, why do they want to sell? We're going to hit the script here a little bit later, but those are the things you can practice on when people have their phone number. They want you to call, okay? Some of these other ones they're free because they're public record type stuff. Facebook groups, they're not, and let me be clear on this, not the Facebook groups for like investors. You want to do community Facebook groups where there might be 50,000 people in there, and every so often somebody's going to say, hey, I need to sell a house. Can you help me? Cool thing is, and we just had a call with our group actually Tuesday, and the guy was like, Facebook groups are the new yellow pages, which is kind of true. It's weird, but especially, I don't want to say, can I say boomers? Am I allowed to say boomers? Like the next generation above us, they just type it in and say, I need a plumber, somebody help. And then they take those referrals and that's who they call, versus I feel like I would just go to Google and say, I need a plumber, right? So that's how Facebook is being used now. So if you're in those community groups, you can catch that, okay? So just want to hit on that. All right. All of these are good to send mail to, but also you can call or reach out directly.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.